Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome in. Hoist the Colors on a Monday, March 3rd edition. We are rolling into March. ECU baseball with a winning weekend in the Keith LeClaire Classic, going 2-1. We had another winning weekend by the ECU basketball team, both the men's and the women's team. Recorded big victories. The men, of course, topping Charlotte on senior day inside Minty's Coliseum. We'll get to that as they seal the first winning season for the men's basketball program since 2012/13, when Jeff Lebo won 23 games as part of the CIT run, and the women's basketball team winning at South Florida, one of the top teams in the league. So we'll get into all that. We got head coach Cliff Godwin. He's set to join us around 9:45 if you're listening to our live stream edition, around 12:15 if you're listening to our radio edition. Philip Pilkington is back in the 94.3 The Game studios. It was a great weekend of Pirate Athletics, Philip, as we got a lot of winning to talk about, and that is never a bad thing.
No, it's not. And it was a long weekend of Pirate Athletics, but it was a good one. So Patrick Mason and I were talking yesterday in the booth. It was like, this is the longest 5-1 or 6-1 baseball game ever. We're just ready to go home at that point. But, hey, it always makes it easier when you're winning. And, you know, that atmosphere yesterday inside Minji's, I was a little worried at first, not going to lie. It seemed like people were filing in a little bit late. But the attendance numbers were good. The student section was there. You couldn't hear them. They looked like they were at a funeral, but they were there. And now the Pirate fans and the Pirate loyalty was definitely amped, especially the upper deck and the nice purple seats too. So it was good to see so many fans. Saturday too. Just speaking of fans, that looked like damn near a Carolina or a State game. Saturday, the LeClaire Classic. I know the weather was good and all, but that was one of the more impressive crowds I've seen on a weekend that was not a regional in a long time.
People are just wanting some warm weather to get out and enjoy, and also just ECU baseball, we know, drives people to the ballpark because it is a fun product. And look, I'll be honest, the loss to Kent State on Friday was a bad loss, which I'm going to call it like it is. And we'll get more into baseball here in a minute, but it showed a lot. ECU bouncing back and winning, and we'll get into the week ahead. Gardner-Webb, Coastal Carolina, Coastal just debuting in the top 25. So ECU baseball with a much-needed bounce-back. Cameron in the comment section says, great bounce-back week for ECU baseball. Season was teetering on the brink after that Kent State loss. Glad to see the players step up. Also, great win by basketball. Need $5 tickets on Thursday night. Can't disagree with that. Big game, ECU Tulane, and we'll preview that as well. Yeah, we are live on YouTube and Facebook if you're watching our live stream, so get your comments in there. We'll read them. Let's start with hoops, Philip. And man, it did not close the prettiest. It was not a pretty game in general. And this is Charlotte style. Not that ECU plays the prettiest brand of basketball, but they at least are more high flying than Charlotte, which is a slower tempo, Princeton style offense team. But man, RJ Felton on senior day, 27 points. Did his thing. Number 5 for Charlotte. Let me see if I can find his name. I think it was, Isaiah Folks. He was like trash talking RJ early in the game and like grabbing him every time he tried to run through a screen. And I just, in the back of my mind, I was like, this is not a good idea by number 5. Like, I know that you think you're doing the right thing, like being tough, but like you're not going to get in RJ Felton's head. He goes off. And the Pirates win 78-76. And in appropriate fashion, Philip, the final rebound ricocheted to RJ, who kind of launched it in the air on senior day. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was a special moment, especially because there was even a chance at a second chance opportunity. It wasn't like that was a true buzzer beater that Charlotte threw up. ECU needed to get that rebound. And, going back to Folks or whatever, I think it was you that asked RJ about it post-game. It was, about it, and he was like, RJ's maturity, he brushes it off, but when you're a younger kid like that, like you said, he's trying to do the right thing in a way, But you have to realize when you're a young guy like that, you're not going to get in R.J. Felton's head. And if you do get in his head, what it's going to do is he is going to tame that anger and that aggression and use it to achieve the goals he was already set to achieve. And that's what RJ did. He's not going to sit there and fold under pressure. It's almost like the people who used to trash talk Leitner back in the day, and he would just go out there and kick their rear end. And that's kind of what RJ did, last night or yesterday. Heck, it wasn't at noon yesterday. It was such an early game. It's weird to play basketball at noon.
It was a long day.
It was a long day. But, that it was clear what the game plan was for Charlotte. It was limit RJ. That was the point. They were going to let the other four guys floor score and just try and limit RJ because they knew that if RJ got hot, they weren't going to win the basketball game. And to your point, 27 out of RJ and a Pirate victory on senior day. So it was a really special day inside Minges Coliseum. RJ had a lot of friends and family there, well-deserved. He even mentioned post-game that some of those family members had traveled and they had never seen him play a collegiate basketball game in person. So I thought that was a really cool moment. Grady Dillon even had RJ kind of do his part of the press conference first and then step away so he could spend time with all of his friends and family. So, smart job there by Grady because I'm sure it was a wonderful day for the Felton family.
Yeah, the official attendance was 5,115, which is a good number for ECU basketball. And, 40 of those had to be R.J. Felton's family, I feel like. I think I was told he was going to bring 40 people, and I think 25 were on midcourt for the pre-game ceremony. So, look, that was awesome. R.J., one of the best Pirates of all time. Cameron adding that one in-your-face three he hit in the first half was absurd. The Charlotte player had nothing to do but laugh. Yeah, that was number 5. Folks who was laughing. And, there was a few possessions. I'm not going to lie. Look, RJ is a beast. But there were a few possessions in the first half where it just turned into RJ dribbling for 25 seconds and him hoisting a shot at the end of the shot clock. And, look, it worked. But second half we saw better offensive play around the horn, Phillip. And you kind of mentioned it in the post game when we were just talking amongst the media. Like the early stages of the second half, ECU looked like a really good basketball team, and maybe that's like the ceiling of this team if they can just make some free throws along the way.
There was something happened with 9:26 left in the game. I want to say it was Charlotte calling a timeout. There was some dead ball situation. Maybe it was the pushing and shoving. I can't remember. And I remember
that
turning
was more like 6:35 or
okay,
something.
so it must have been a Charlotte timeout. Either way, there was a dead ball, and I turned to Kaysen, and I was like, wow. In 10 minutes and 34 seconds, East Carolina scored 30 points. That means they're on track for about 57, 58 points for the half. I said, this is what this team can be. And unfortunately, we weren't for the first half, and we really weren't after that. But those 10 minutes are the reason East Carolina won that game yesterday because they were able to build that lead and have that cushion. And if they play like that in the conference tournament for 25 to 30 minutes in a game, they don't even have to be that flawless for 40, then there's no reason this team can't win the conference tournament.
No reason, and we'll get into the seedings, the latest standings here. If we don't do it on today's show, since we have baseball and basketball to recap, we'll talk a lot about that in the days ahead. Kaysen Rameli says need to practice inbounds plays and need to practice against zone. With RJ and CJ, it's stupid for teams not to go zone against us. If they can break a zone, they can make a run. So good thoughts there. Well, Tulane plays like a matchup zone, so Thursday will be a test, Phillip. I mean, that is what they typically do in a Ron Hunter is the matchup zone, which they try and limit the three-point shots, kind of similar to what ECU's zone was doing earlier this year. And Tulane is really good. We'll get more into that matchup, but that'll be a big game. So, I don't know, what did you make about the end of the game? The sequence where Mike Schwartz was on the court with the Charlotte 49ers. And, again, we kind of talked about it. He was trying to, I think, hold back some of the players. Then Charlotte, I think one of the Charlotte assistants kind of got up in his face. It looked like not the head coach, Aaron Fern, but a younger guy. And they kind of had a verbal exchange. And then you also had just ECU almost, let's be honest, almost just completely collapsing the game away. Like Schwartz said himself post-game, if that final shot goes in, we are having a much different conversation right now.
Yeah, so I'll just go in chronological order of what you just asked.
Yeah.
It was weird. So Trevi gets fouled, and what I thought was not a basketball play at all. It was a weird tug of the jersey for no reason. That could have obviously honestly been a flagrant one just because it was not deemed a basketball play. But they called it a common foul. So he turns around, says his displeasures. Those two start to get into it. I really do think, because when you go back and look at the replay, Coach Schwartz flies in with one intention, and that's to grab Trevi. Well, RJ had already grabbed him with two hands and was like carrying LeBeau down the court, in which time I think Coach Schwartz just had a dead eye beam on LeBeau and was just trying to get there, and he passes RJ during the process, and you see Coach kind of stop and go like this, like what happened to LeBeau, and at which time RJ, in the great athlete that he is, has LeBeau in two hands, switches him to just his right arm, the way a parent would carry a young child in one arm and groceries in another, horse collars Coach Schwartz and is dragging both of them back to the bench. So great play, RJ. 27 points, and that was his best play of the day. But no, so yeah, that was a little bit of a weird sequence, and I think by the time when you have that many people out on the court at that point where they're not the original 10 members that were on the court, there's going to be some words exchanged. I think, you mentioned it. I think we were just chit-chatting before the official press conference. It looked like he and Aaron Fern did exchange words, but it looked more, hey, I've got my guys, you guys have yours. They were a little more chill, but I do think Coach Schwartz and that assistant may have been going at it a little bit. So there's that, and it wasn't a fight. Anybody that says it was a fight didn't watch fight. Gerald Henderson and Tyler Hansbrough that time. That's a fight. And the inbound play. Yeah, how do you come out of a timeout in which when you're allowed to run the baseline and you call a timeout again? First off, have better of a play. Secondly, why the heck, when no one was open, did Cam not move? Did he think it was a spot throw-in? Because it was not. It was coming off of a made basket. We ended up wasting another timeout. It just looked bad. It looked stupid. Also, why is Cam inbounding the ball? He's the best free throw shooter. They're trying to foul. How many free throw attempts did Cam Hayes have? Anybody know?
0.
Goose egg, baby. None. Nada. Zilch. What are we doing?
Yeah, I was not a fan of look, I'm very glad ECU won the game. But I'm with Philip on this. Your best free throw shooter, if there's one thing Cam Hayes is great at, it is closing the game at the free throw line. 0 free throw attempts, despite ECU needing to close up the game at the free throw line. Look, Jay Woodard had a phenomenal game, but he is a 62% free throw shooter. Charlotte had a clear plan of attack. When the ball went to Jay Woodard, foul immediately. And he made some free throws. He went 6 of 9. He did not lose the game at the line, but I was not a huge fan of the process. If you're trying to close out a game, get the ball to your best free throw shooters. That is Cam Hayes, that is RJ Felton, that is Jordan Riley. So would like to see ECU learn from that, and I think they will. Look, Coach Schwartz is a really good coach with the fundamentals of the game. He said at post-game, win or lose, they get to those things and try to find a way to improve on them. And, well, the end-of-game sequence was obviously inbound plays and obviously a situation, too, where you got to get the right guys to the line. Case Romeli in the chat says, per source, Cam did not want to inbound the ball. Well, maybe they just only trust Cam to inbound the ball. Look, Cam is a good passer, Phillip, but even if he is inbounding the ball, there's got to be a play where he inbounds it, and then maybe you inbound it to, obviously, Riley or Felton as your preferred target, and then they give it back to Cam. At least in that case, you have 3 70+% free throw shooters going to the line in that scenario.
Honestly, I didn't even know who the hell they were trying to get the ball to. I don't know if Cam knew who they were trying to get the ball to.
It did not look well organized.
Yeah, I don't have a problem putting RJ there to inbound the ball. I know that sounds a little crazy, but he's probably your second best passer behind Cam. Cam's a better free throw shooter than RJ, slightly. And Cam there and sometimes will get concrete feet. And I think RJ, because of the playmaker that he is, would have been better at running the baseline, considering it was coming off a made basket. So, I don't know. I mean, who are we to question the coaching? I do get that. We're really, I know we should be sitting here just glamoring in the victory. Hey, we're at least finishing 500 in conference play. This is wonderful, and it is. But Coach Swartz said it himself. Regardless whether you win the game by 1 or win it by 100, nobody's ever played a perfect basketball game, and this was just one of the imperfections I thought down the stretch. I just didn't get it. And then there was the time that Cam crossed the court. This was like a minute and a half left, probably a little less than that, probably a minute 20, and he kicks it to Jay for no reason, and then they foul Jay. And it's like, Cam, what are you doing?
Shouldn't have given it up.
Yeah, just dribble around in circles at that point or pass it to RJ or something. And he wasn't even really being pressured. Yes, I don't know. It was just kind of a weird end-of-game sequence for a team who I feel like has been pretty late game. You go back to UTSA. Honestly, the FAU loss, if we hit the free throws, they're fine. The actual way they played was good. The free throw shooting was just bad. Everything, for the most part, in the last 2 minutes this year has been pretty good, and it kind of went in the crapper last night. But, hey, you win, so who really cares in the long run?
You win, and you've got a way to learn and get better. And so I think it is a best-case scenario situation for ECU. Final thing, we'll get a break in. The standings, ECU – right now, listed in 5th place, although technically they would be the 6th seed if the season ended today because FAU won the game. But the season doesn't end today, and FAU and ECU play each other in the coming days. ECU right now tied with FAU for 5th. Memphis won at UAB. They're in 1st place at 14-2. North Texas in 2nd at 12-3. UAB 3rd, 12-4. Tulane has a 2-game lead on ECU at 11-5. Now, ECU can still jump Tulane and get the 4 seed. Here's how it has to happen. ECU needs to win the final 2 games against Tulane this Thursday in Minges, and then the Pirates need to win at FAU in the finale this coming weekend. If they do that and Tulane loses to UAB in New Orleans this weekend, ECU, by virtue of beating UAB earlier this season, would have the tiebreaker and get the 4 seed and a double bye. So that is the scenario. ECU can still technically fall to as low as 7 if Wichita State wins its final 3 games and ECU loses out. But most likely ECU is looking at 4 through 6. Realistically, if they lose, I think if they go 1-1 and they lose to FAU and beat Tulane, they end up at 6 because FAU would jump them in that scenario because of the tiebreaker. So
is there a reschedule here? Why does Wichita still have 3 games?
I was wondering the same thing. Yeah, Wichita still has 3 games. They play tonight at 9. They play
at North
Thursday at Rice, and they wrap up Tulsa. So I guess maybe they just crammed in a bunch of games. So if Wichita loses to North Texas tonight, then ECU would not be able to fall beneath them, I'm pretty sure. So
go Mean Green, baby.
Updates. Yep, Mean Green can assure ECU the floor of a 6 seed, I'm pretty sure. All right, we got to get a break in. We'll be joined by Cliff Godwin on the other side, recapping the Pirates' winning week on the Diamond.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
The Coastal Conservation Association is an organization of saltwater anglers whose goal is to protect marine resources statewide and nationally. We're working to improve saltwater fishing for recreational fishermen. From the Gulf to the North Atlantic, our chapters are the watchdogs of the saltwater fishing industry, working in partnership with state wildlife and fish agencies. Our coastal waters are valuable natural resources that must be protected. Call your local CCA chapter today.
Here there be pirates. Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo. How good is this? On 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back into the show. It is time for our Monday visit with East Carolina head baseball coach Cliff Godwin. Pirates coming off a winning week in the Keith LeClaire Classic, also a midweek win over Old Dominion. A lot of baseball games in a short amount of time. Coach Godwin now with us. Y'all started with the series finale Monday against North Carolina, Coach. So I guess, 5 games in 7 days? How did you think the guys responded this week on the diamond?
I thought they did a good job. I thought we played really poorly against North Carolina. They're a good team, but the fact that it was a 6-3 game with the amount of freebies we had on the pitching side of things and the amount of times we struck out offensively, we were able to turn a few double plays to keep us in the game a little bit. Thought our guys played well against Old Dominion. We actually played pretty good on Friday night against Kent State. Unfortunately made a couple mistakes on the mound that, as I told our guys, when things aren't going good, the game will challenge you. And when you make a mistake, they're not hitting a single, they're hitting a home run. And just a hard loss because, like you said yesterday, Igo, that you have the lead, and historically when we've had leads here in my tenure, that we win the game, and then the guys battled back, and you hit into a double play with the bases loaded, and if that ball goes 6 inches to the infielder's right, we're feeling good about ourselves and rolling to the next day. But the way we played on Saturday and Sunday was really just a great, in my opinion, a great, step forward for our guys to continue to play consistent baseball the way we need to play on the pitching side of things, defensively and offensively.
And, Coach, obviously in Friday's game, Brad Pruitt, he had been so good for you guys. And just an off day, and like you said, he left one up in the zone. Just so happened that pitch happened to be a home run versus a single or a double. But to me, like, his response and coming back Sunday in the game against Virginia Tech, looking how he did, how much does that show about him? Because he's a guy who's got talent, but this is kind of the first time maybe he's pitched this much, obviously at the Division I level, and having to bounce back from that type of outing on Friday.
Yeah, it's different. AK and I talked about it. I mean, the kid's never been in those situations before, even though he, is more. And it's different when you're out there when the game's on the line. You can talk about it as much as you want to, but there's pressure. And he didn't execute a pitch, and the guy hits a home run. And I told him, I said, hey, man, we're not asking you to be perfect. I said, but I was actually more pissed about the hanging slider to the 9-hole guy and the 2-2 count, because at that point in time, the game's tied. And, okay, I made a mistake, but let's not make the same mistake twice. And we did that. And then, of course, we're in no doubles. And the next guy, hits a ball that AP would have caught if we hadn't been in no doubles. And then we bring in, Beschloss, and he actually made a decent pitch. And one of their best players, hits it out by a foot. It actually hit AP's glove going over the fence. And, as I told Beschloss, I'm watching the Clemson South Carolina game, and South Carolina's down 2. Clemson hits one of their guys, and the next right-handed batter hits a ball, and I'm watching it live, and I'm like, oh, that's gone. The game's tied in the 9th inning, but the left fielder catches it up against the wall. So if it was a different wind day, maybe Burris or AP catches that ball and, it's a tie game and we end up winning it. But the game was just challenging us at times. And that's why I think baseball teaches you more about the game of life than anything else. Sometimes you can make a decent pitch and a guy puts a good swing on it, but how you respond to that is crucial. So good learning lessons. As I told our guys, on Saturday, I said, look, we're going to be better for all this at the end of the season if we continue to learn when we have failure. And I thought our guys had a great response on Saturday and Sunday.
Ethan Young, coach, another back-end bullpen arm. Starting to emerge, has emerged for you guys, obviously, and he can go multiple innings. And how much are you learning about this pitching staff, this bullpen, and kind of the roles guys will fit into? And still a long way to go, but starting to become at least a little more clear for you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you can see that we've got confidence in Diesel and in Pruitt for sure, as other guys. But those guys, when those guys are fresh, I mean, for sure it makes our bullpen tough to navigate. And then there's guys that continue to come along. I mean, Delo's coming along, Beschloss is coming along. Jake Hunter is going to pitch his best down the stretch. I mean, the guy's like maybe 9 months out of Tommy John surgery. Zayak, whether he's in the bullpen or starting a game, he's going to start the game tomorrow against Gardner Webb. Lance Williams, he's done a really good job. I mean, yesterday's start was an opener basically and did a really good job. Ian White, has done a good job in the times he's come out there and been able to run off the field and feel good about himself. And there's more guys. And I think, this pitching staff, until we get fully healthy, is just got to have that closer's mentality of, hey, I'm going out there, I'm going to close out this inning. And then if I go back out, I'm going to close out the next inning. But if not, I'm going to pass the ball and give it to the next guy. And I think if we have that mentality, we're going to be, continue to play well.
You mentioned Lance Williams got the start, Coach, and I know y'all had that long delay. And then is that part of the reason he came out of the game, or was it just kind of a matchup thing? He doing okay physically?
Yeah, he's doing fine physically. I mean, he had some forearm tightness. When I say tightness, I mean just a little bit, but velocity had dropped a little bit, and he, was shaking his arm on the mound. So that's why AK and I went out there. And of course, while AK's out there, he's like, I'm fine. And I just didn't feel good about it. I mean, the guy had Tommy John surgery about probably 18 to 20 months ago, and I just want to make sure that his health is the most important thing. And so we went to the bullpen, but he's fine. We just wanted to be super cautious with him.
And I know you told us, I believe, sometime last week, so many games, I think it was Monday, I asked about, Antolik, Texas A&M transfer, Ryan Towers, and you had said Antolik at that time had gotten off the mound the previous weekend. How is he coming along? And then Towers as well. I'm sure been a little bit of a frustrating process, both those guys, but are they hanging in there as well?
They are. Antolik's definitely coming along. When will be his, first outing for ECU baseball? I would say hopefully it'll be sometime in March, more towards the back end than, right now. Actually, RT is going to pick up a baseball today and start playing catch, so there'll be a slow build-up process for him. But his UCL is fully intact per the MRI, so that was good news when we had that. But he will be a little bit more delayed than Antolik, but we're definitely excited about getting Antolik back sometime in March.
Cliff Godwin with us Monday chat. The Pirates coming off a winning week and 2-1 in the Keith LeClaire Classic, and Coach Riley Johnson as well. I feel like maybe we haven't even talked about it as much as it should, just the impact of his absence. But I know you guys, next man up mentality, obviously. But the latest on Riley, and who's been through so much because of his shoulders and now something else. Just I know Pirate Nation wants to know how he's doing, and watching him in the dugout, I know he's trying his best to stay engaged. But how's Riley doing, and any update there?
Yeah, well, first off, you guys make a big deal about a lot of stuff. I don't need you to make a big deal about that because it is next man up mentality. I mean, look, at the end of the year, whatever your record is and whatever place you finish in the conference, and if you go to a regional and so on and so forth, they're not going to say, well, Riley Johnson, in my opinion, was out. Nobody cares. So, and especially people that we're playing. I mean, we've won too much here for people to feel sorry for us. So, and Riley's taking it like a champ, man. I mean, I can't imagine mentally, I mean, the guy has 2 shoulder surgeries in the off season and is just feeling good about his shoulders, and then to have this hip flexor, growing ab issue that's going on. And I just told him, I said, "Hey, man, last year at the end of the season, you were on fumes, dude. I mean, having to play with 2 shoulder braces and your shoulder popping out, and if we're honest with each other, you weren't the same player at the end of the year as you were early on, just because the toll your body took." I said, let's think worst case scenario. You only play for us the last 2 months. How fresh are you going to be? How fresh is Riley Johnson going to be? And that's the way we've looked at it. So the MR results had not come back yet. I feel pretty confident they'll come back today. But he swung some in the cage yesterday. He's been throwing. Really, it's just the running part and it has been the deceleration. So we have not pushed him with any of that stuff until we get the MRI results back. But hopefully we have some more clarity after we get those today.
Offensively, Coach, you mentioned obviously the Monday game versus North Carolina. I just thought after that, your staff puts in so much work that the at-bats, you could see just the difference throughout the week kind of grow. And this team continues to grow at the plate every game. Just overall, offensively, how happy were you with the progress, maybe from the start of the week to the end?
I mean, it was night and day. You like you said, you can see guys like right before your eyes just continue to grow. Putting some guys in different positions for sure. Obviously, Boucher's last 2 games, he looks more like himself. Dixon is been swinging the bat really well this week, and even Colby Wallace has been better. And then you've got guys, like Walker Barron's putting together tough at bats. Austin Irby, of course, had a good weekend. AP has been a spark plug for us at the top of the lineup. And, Roger coming off the bench and just kind of giving us a spark. A lot of different guys, Big John, Kalinich, Burris having a big, double that drove in 2 runs last night late in the game. Those moments are going to continue to help us grow as a team, because you're really putting some guys that have never been in those positions before in some crucial, critical positions when the game's on the line. And the more experience they get with that, not that it's always going to work out, but they're just going to feel more comfortable within themselves, which is a good thing.
With Dixon's increased success, Coach, did he make any adjustments, or was it just more him, I don't know, being himself, relaxing, and just maybe the ball falling in? I mean, we talked about last year he had good at-bats, didn't have the results. What did you see as, obviously, the hitting coach with Dixon?
Well, I talked about it after the first weekend. I mean, we had to raise his hands up just so he could get to the high fastball better. And he just got more comfortable in his mechanics and got back to the way he was hitting last year at the end of the season. And, Dixon works very hard on his game, and he knows what the process is that he needs to do every day to feel his swing, and then what his approach needs to be off certain guys. And, I thought one of his best at-bats yesterday was, I don't know if it was in the 8th inning or not, or maybe it was the 7th before they took the big tall righty out that just made us look stupid. But, he had a single to left field and stole second base for us. And I just thought that was a crucial at bat for us when we really couldn't get anything going after Boucher's home run.
Coach, we saw Michael Kalinich come off the bench yesterday, also have a 3-0 swing, sac fly, which he knocked the crap out of. We've seen you cut Austin Irby loose, 3-0, a couple freshmen. So, look, I mean, you kind of talked about it after the game, but you're letting these guys be themselves. And also, you have to have some trust in them, and, they've kind of executed in those moments. So what's kind of that balance like where you're trying to obviously coach them, but also, trust them in those moments to build their confidence?
It's definitely a juggling act for sure. But like I said, the more times they can get out there in those moments and see, that they're good enough to perform in a crucial situation. And that was a big at-bat by Kalinich. I mean, 3-0, getting a swing off, sac fly. Like you said, Irby's had some big clutch at-bats, but Burris as well. So anytime we can get those guys in those situations and just get them in the fire, so to speak, it's just going to pay dividends down the road.
Coach John Collins said after Saturday's game, transfer from Boston College, that previous places he's been, that parents didn't even come to games because it was too cold. And here, everybody's cheering when you're scoring and they're shooting cannons off. It seems like he's having kind of the time of his life. And I know you've kind of spoken on that, how much of a great presence he's been to the program. So what's it like having his energy in the dugout, his swing in the lineup, because he can do some damage, and everything that John Collins brings to the lineup?
Yeah, I actually didn't see his post-game interview until this morning. I watched it, and I sent him a text this morning and said, hey, I know I've told you this before, but I just appreciate your calming presence and just the way he goes about his business and him being a great teammate. I mean, the guy literally is, basically playing wiffle ball in the backyard because he knows this is his last year of baseball. He's super smart. He's going to be successful in whatever he wants to do down the road. But he's been such a calming presence for some of the youth, and they'll go talk to him. And I said this in my post game, but of all the players that gets the opportunity to have at bats, nobody cheers harder than our team for when Big John's up there. And it's just an unbelievable human being that is enjoying every moment and really making our program better by not just the performance on the field, but everything that he does behind the scenes.
Couple more things for Coach Cliff Godwin. We'll get him out of here on this Monday morning. Appreciate his time. And Coach, I thought, Walker Barron, first time catching this many innings. I believe, has he called every inning at this point? And just,
he has.
Can you speak on can you speak on just what he has meant behind the dish? And also, would you like to get, Kalinich or Collins sometimes back there as well at some point?
Well, you'd love to get those guys back there if you got the opportunity, but right now Walker's our best option defensively. He has been awesome defensively. I would say that he's caught as good in this segment of the year of anybody that we've ever had here, and we've had some good catchers, so that's not a knock against those guys, but he's just caught at a really high level. I mean, he's blocked a ton of baseballs, thrown guys out. That was a big, caught stealing yesterday when a guy let off the inning, gets on first, and he goes to steal, and Walker throws him out immediately. I mean, it's just a big momentum swing. And then he's put together tough at-bats, and I've just been super proud. Sometimes Walker in his early years could be very volatile, let the game beat him up, and right now he's been steady Eddie, and he's been really the glue that has kept us together when we haven't been playing great, earlier in the season.
Coach, the week ahead, last thing for you, I know you take it one game at a time, but, this is our weekly chat, so I wanted to ask Gardner-Webb on Tuesday in Fayetteville, how that unique opportunity came together, and then also Coastal Carolina coming in this weekend. I know you don't care about this, but they were just they came out in the top 25 poll for this week, so I figured I'd mention that. So two really good opponents coming up. How did the Fayetteville game come up with Gardner-Webb, and then also getting Coastal on the regular season schedule and what should be a highly anticipated series this weekend?
Gardner-Webb, they're a little ways away from Greenville, North Carolina, so we're trying to get it at a place that was a little bit closer for them. And Fayetteville's a great venue, so that's a good little midweek challenge for us to go on the road in Fayetteville or Pro Park and play them. They'll be fired up, as everybody is, to play Pirates. And then Coastal, they're a great program, and they've been consistent. And we were able to get them doing the home and home for a midweek or for a weekend series, just because the midweek is a little hard. I mean, it's a 3-hour trip. So, but we're going to worry about Gardner-Webb, and then after that, we'll get ready for Coastal.
He is head coach Cliff Godwin. Coach, we appreciate the time on this Monday, fitting us in at the last minute, informed you of this after last night's game. So appreciate the quick turnaround, Coach, and congrats on a winning weekend. Best of luck this week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
He is Cliff Godwin, head coach, ECU Baseball. All right, we'll be right back with more of the show on the other side.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Pirate fans, 2025 East Carolina football season tickets are on sale now and can be purchased for as little as $115. Head coach Blake Harrell wants you to be a part of his first full season as the Pirate coach as he builds momentum off of the 8-win season and the Military Bowl win over North Carolina State. Call 1-800-DIAL-ECU or go to ECUPirates.com today to get your 2025 season tickets.
All right, let's go. Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo.
Drink up for me, Ozzy Yo-Ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on this Monday, March 3rd edition of the show. Appreciate Coach Cliff Godwin. We just talked with him about the winning week. Now we're going to dissect it a little bit ourselves. Philip Pilkington back in the 94.3 The Game studios. Pirates now 5-6 on the season. Johnny Stats checking in. Johnny Robertson in the YouTube chat. He says, other than the 7th inning of the Kent State game and the other 33 innings of the week, the Pirates pitching staff had an ERA of 1.36. So there is Johnny Stats coming through yet again. I mean, really, Philip, and you can't do this in baseball, but if you take out the top of the 7th inning, I thought over the 4 games after the UNC game on Monday, ECU baseball played, I don't want to say phenomenal baseball, but very good baseball, because they still made some errors and, you know, that sort of thing. But, like, very good baseball, winning baseball for sure. And, you know, I think this top of the 7th inning just got away from them. And I think this team showed some reasons why we should be optimistic moving forward.
I think so. You know, we even mentioned it on Saturday that it felt like Friday night they played one bad half inning of baseball. You know, it's kind of to your point. They played 17 pretty good half innings, and the one cost them. And really, it was just kind of a 4-batter sequence that really cost them. I know they let up the 6 runs, but if you look at the first 3-run jack and then the next 3 at-bats are really the issues. And I think the biggest reason I'm optimistic, too, and I know I've kind of said this, so I'm sounding a little bit like a broken record, but once again, he mentions that ERA. How good is this pitching staff? You think of some of the transfers like Young and Pruitt, and then, you know, some of the young guys coming in. I mean, there are some freshmen that are mature beyond their years on the mound. And when I say mature beyond their years, I don't mean it's because they have good stuff. I mean it's because when they get into jams, they don't fold. When they let up a home run, they don't try and pitch around the next batter. They still go out there and attack and have confidence and belief in themselves. And finally, we've got away from giving away those free 90s. Not a lot of walks this weekend. And it's been an issue. The back end of the bullpen on this team and every other team in college baseball, with the exception of usually 2 or 3, every year, and those 2 or 3 make it very deep in Omaha, this looks like the type of staff that you will feel really good about conference tournament weekend and regional weekend. Now, obviously, you need the ace and the number 2 to win a super regional, but there are some guys who, look like they can become that between now and June. They're not there now, but they can become there. Saw a little power this weekend. Not quite as much as you'd want to, but at least some balls are getting out. And now if we can just string some more hits together, it's the batting. We said it. It's going to get better, and it is getting better. Not quite as fast as we want it to, but it's getting better. And Coach is having to teeter with the lineup here and there, but it's getting better.
And, we asked Coach Godwin about the updates, Brett Antolik and Ryan Towers. I think once those guys get back, and it sounds more like late March, April for Towers, and late March for Antolik, April maybe for Towers, I think that would only add to the pitching options. And, yeah, the pitching, we talked about it, Philip, and you brought it up. 10 walks Monday against North Carolina compared to 6 strikeouts. Well, in the last 4 games, ECU pitching struck out 7 against Old Dominion with 4 walks. Against Kent State, they struck out 12 versus 3 walks. So despite giving up 7 runs, that's a ratio you'll take every day of the week. 7 strikeouts against Indiana State versus 1 walk. And then Virginia Tech, 13 strikeouts as a pitching staff versus 7 walks. 7 walks a little high. The strike zone yesterday was all over the place, but still good strikeout to walk ratio there. And on the season, teams are only hitting .207 against this pitching staff. And so the staff is doing more than enough. We're starting to see some guys emerge, Brad Pruitt, Ethan Young. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Philip. I'll give you some time to think about it. On our Bucks on the Pond podcast, which will be tonight, by the way, we have a segment where we're going to go what we learned about this team because they're so young each week, basically what we learned. So I'm going to ask you to come up with your biggest takeaway from what you learned over the past week of East Carolina baseball. Because I feel like every week this team plays, we're going to learn more and more about them. So for you, what kind of stands out the most from all right, now we know this about this ECU baseball team going forward?
That a baseball can somehow find its way into your pants. No, I'm just kidding. I think that we learned that if someone does not emerge as another starter, and we have to keep Ethan Norby in a starting role, that Ethan Young is ready to be the high-leverage guy that we thought Ethan Norby was going to be. He inherited base runners once again yesterday afternoon. He pitched himself into 2 jams, one of which was second and third with 1 out, and he got out of it every time. This is a kid who is what we need. The closer role is dead in baseball. It's the high-leverage guy. East Carolina's found their high-leverage guy.
And he is throwing the crap out of the baseball. I had to remember we were on radio, otherwise I would have cussed. But I was sitting right above the ECU dugout taking pictures. There was one he threw at 96 where he let out an audible yell and didn't get the call, borderline top of the zone. But, man, he is
I remember that. That was the 3-2 count too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, right before the single down the line he gave up, I think, the next batter. But, man, he pitches, and speaking of cussing, he does it sometimes in the post-game interview. But he was much better yesterday, Philip. He made it through, much more composed this time.
He did. We're proud of him. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't there Wednesday night. Didn't he, as he walked away, didn't he ask, hey, did I do good? Can I get another chance?
Yeah, basically he's like, can I come back? Did I do good? And he was back. So a few days later, Ethan Young definitely emerging as one of ECU's best pitching options. By the way, Casey Romeli in the chat, we got to get our final break in, but he says Gardner Webb's Dale Francis, ECU plays Gardner Webb tomorrow in Fayetteville. This week, he went 10 of 15 with 5 home runs, 2 doubles, 16 RBI. That is because, Philip, he hit 4 home runs in the Saturday game alone against Appalachian State. So I am going to vote to pitch around this gentleman. I don't know anything about him other than what Casey Romeli is telling me, but I can't imagine Gardner Webb has too much more than Dale Francis.
Probably not. And you know what? Let's hope we don't have to pitch around him. You know why? Because solo home runs do not lose you baseball games. Keep people off the base path in front of him, and if he hits 2 dingers and we win the game 8-2, I can live with it.
No doubt. Big game. ECU, if they win that, they'd be back at 500 going into a huge series against Coastal Carolina. So big game Tuesday in Fayetteville. We will get our final break in. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show right after this.
Ready to go for big savings? You've got the green light at Greenville Toyota with the new Corolla just $239 a month or new Tacoma only $349 a month. The green light savings event is on right now at Greenville Toyota.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Hey, grab me one too.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available. Call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Green is what you'll save during our Green Light Savings event at Greenville Toyota. Get a new Camry, $269 a month, or a new RAV4, $339 a month. When the green light is on, you save big at Greenville Toyota.
What's happening?
Tell me what's happening. Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, final segment here. We got a couple minutes left. So we'll get into a few random sports. First off, I got to congratulate Philip Pilkinen, the Boston Celtics. He's wearing a Celtics shirt. Beat my Denver Nuggets. I've gotten more into the NBA for reasons I've explained in the past this second half of the season. Because the Mariners have ticked me off on the baseball front. So the Nuggets go to Boston last night, or yesterday afternoon, because it was a midday game. Neither of us could watch because we were busy covering ECU, but the Celtics win. They almost blew it, though, Philip. So what is this becoming a trend? They blew a huge lead versus the Cavs and then almost gave it away against the Nuggets. So, I don't know. It's regular season NBA. I'm not going to make a big deal about it, but congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if it's becoming a trend. I think it's kind of the style they play, which they're one of the most dangerous but one of the most vulnerable teams in the NBA because they do rely so heavily just on their ability to shoot the ball. It doesn't matter what position you play. This is the true positionless basketball. They are beating the NBA at their own game right now. Yes, they've got some guys who can score on the low block. Even some of their perimeter and guard guys can score on the low block. But they really rely on their ability to shoot. And when the shooting goes cold, it can get a little tough. I didn't watch much of it. I flipped on the last minute or so in the baseball press box. We were able to. It was in that little bit of brief time we had to kill between baseball and basketball yesterday. So I did see the end. But Yeah, that's the thing, man. That they don't turn the ball over a lot, but if shots aren't falling, they can be in a little trouble.
Yep, they're definitely the most happy team in the NBA and have done it to big success, obviously. All right, quick NASCAR updates. They raced in Texas yesterday. That concluded as we were doing ECU interviews. So how did the NASCAR race go?
It was good. Circuit of the Americas, the F1 course down in Austin. You had four guys battling for the lead at the very end. It came down to the last lap. There was a lot of respectful racing. Yes, there were some times some doors got banged. There was just contact here and there, but no one was in it to wreck anybody. It was a very clean, good race. Four talented drivers all the way down to the end. There were some passes made late, and Christopher Bell ends up emerging, and that's just what you want to see. Good, hard racing that comes down to the final lap. Left turns and right turns. So everybody who makes fun of NASCAR only going left. You couldn't make fun of it yesterday for only going left, and it ended up being a really good race.
All right, there's your NASCAR update, and that'll about do it for the show. Again, we'll mix in a little bit of pro sports here and there along with our ECU heavy talk. In the coming weeks, we'll have to get into our Major League Baseball preview. Spring training well underway, so we will get into that. Look around the American League, the National League, all the divisions. We'll have Joe Sampson on the show at some point as we get that going here in the coming weeks, because baseball season will be here before you know it in the majors. All right, we'll be back tomorrow, 12 noon. Thanks again to Cliff Godwin. Thanks again to Philip Pilkington. We will talk to you then on Hoist the Colors.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things